The FBI says a teenage boy stowed away in the wheel well of a flight from California to Hawaii on Sunday. But is surviving that kind of flight humanly possible? Lots of questions this morning, and ABC's David Curley joins us with the latest. Good morning, David.
Good morning, George. This is a long flight from California all the way to Hawaii and at high altitude. It's an unbelievable story almost of survival and a potentially terrifying breach of security.
This morning, the FBI says a 16-year-old boy hitched a 2,300-mile ride across the Pacific in the wheel well of a packed plane, despite a lack of oxygen at 38,000 feet and temperatures far below zero.
The juvenile was approached by airline personnel and asked him what he was doing out on the apron. He wasn't too cooperative.
Overnight, the FBI telling ABC News that security footage does show the boy hopping a fence at the San Jose airport Sunday morning. They say he then hid in the unprotected, unpressurized wheel well of Hawaiian Airlines Flight 45, passing out once the flight got to altitude because of a lack of oxygen. Incredibly, they say he stayed there throughout the 5.5-hour flight and didn't come to until an hour after the plane landed at Maui Airport. They say ground crews called authorities when they saw the boy walking around on the tarmac. Authorities say doctors checked him out, and despite being subjected to temperatures of 50 degrees below zero, he appeared to be just fine.
This is a first in medical science and a first in physiology. Somebody surviving at 35,000 or higher for 5 hours with no supplementary oxygen. I just don't believe it.
According to the FBI, the boy emerged from the plane to a dumbfounded ground crew, and that the Maui airport has video of the boy crawling out of the left main gear area.
I don't believe the kid was in the wheel well. That's really what it comes down to. If he was, there are only two ways that he could have survived, and that is with some sort of a methodology of breathing, pressure breathing oxygen. And secondly, he would have to have some sort of an exposure suit against minus 50-degree Fahrenheit temperatures.
Remarkably, there is another way, according to the FAA, which says there have been 2 cases in the past in which stowaways have survived high-altitude flights. The explanation? The lack of oxygen leads to a gradual unconsciousness, and then the hypothermia from the cold temperatures preserves the nervous system. Hibernation, basically. It's amazing, George.
I guess. Okay, David, thanks very much. Dr. Richard Besser is here, and you're just shaking your head at that explanation from the FAA.
Yeah, I mean, basically at that altitude, there are 2 things that happen to your body, both of which are usually fatal. One is called hypoxia. So at that high altitude, your body is not getting the oxygen that it needs to survive. You'll pass out almost immediately and die within a few minutes. The other is hypothermia, and we talk about it every winter. You know, at that height, minus 50 degrees, you're going to freeze to death very quickly.
5 hours.
For 5 hours.
So the chances that someone could survive this?
Well, it's near impossible, but the FAA has reported on this before, and basically it's what David was talking about, this idea of hibernation. With hibernation, we see it in animals. Their breathing goes down to a couple times a minute, their heartbeat a couple times a minute, and it's possible, if you slow down enough, your body doesn't need as much oxygen and you could survive. But it's near impossible, it's almost miraculous, and maybe, as we were hearing, maybe there's more to the story.
There's got to be more to this story. Okay, Richard Besser, thanks very much.
We'll be listening. All right.